ever been in a situation where the person who's generating the highest results on your team is actually the person with the highest ego and is not getting along with other team members, not following the process, not even listening to what you want them to do, and are doing what they want, when they want, how they want, and you feel stuck on how do you deal with such a person because you can't even fire them because they are the highest results generator of your business. If you'd like an answer to this situation, then tune into episode number 94 of Get Real with Rajiv, because I break down the steps that you need to take with such a team member in a step-by-step manner. I'm also going to answer the question of, if you're a solo entrepreneur, a one-man, one-woman business, which department should you hire for first? Should you hire for the marketing or the sales side because that will bring you business, or should you hire for the back-end operations because that will free up your time to go get more business? So if you'd like an answer to this question and what are the factors you need to consider to make sure that you are hiring the right person first, then tune into episode number 94 of Get Real with Rajiv. And apart from that, I'm also going to talk about in a detailed manner what is the connection between spirituality and building a successful business, because in reality they both are the same. I'm going to give you specific points of connection between spirituality and building a business. And finally, in this episode of Get Real with Rajiv, I'm also going to talk to you about what's the difference between learning from your failures and limiting yourself based on your past failures. So if you'd like answers to all these 4 questions, then tune into episode number 94 of Get Real with Rajiv. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 94 of Get Real with Rajiv. Like every single week, we're going to be answering 4 questions, and today Pawan is going to be the voice of your questions. So Pawan, what's the first question?
Suresh Mandana is asking, what department should a solopreneur be starting to build a team from? Should it be sales and marketing, as that is what would bring in the business and the revenues, or should we hire the back-end team first? I'm asking this because a solopreneur would be doing the rest of the functions himself till he hires another person for another function.
Well, Suresh, to answer your question, what I would say is the decision of whom do you hire first, a sales and a marketing team or an operations and a back-end team, it really depends on 2 factors. And here are those 2 factors. Factor number 1 is, what does the business need right now? What is the requirement of the business? Does the business require more business to come in, more clients to be brought in, or does the business require expertise to be brought in the back-end operations so that the quality of delivery, the quality of output, the timeliness of the delivery of the product or the service, or the timeliness of the output is becoming a priority? So first is, what is the requirement of the business? The second factor that decides who you hire first as a solopreneur is, what is the expertise of the business owner and where does the business owner want to focus their personal time, energy and intelligence. Why do I say this is the second factor that determines your decision of who you hire first? Is because if you feel your expertise is marketing, your expertise is sales and business generation, and you want to stay focused on your expertise, then the natural answer is go hire a back-end person for operations to take care of customer delivery, customer handling, product or service delivery, product or service development, right? But if your expertise is operations, product development, service delivery, if that's your expertise and you feel that your time, energy and focus is best spent in what your expertise is in operations, then the natural decision is hire somebody in marketing and sales for the business generation side. So Suresh, there's no one correct answer to your question. You need to evaluate your business based on these 2 factors. On number 1, what's the requirement of the business? What does the business need right now? And second, what is your strength? What is your expertise? And where do you want to spend your personal time and energy in the process of building your business? And then based on that, you make the right decision which is suitable for your business. So I hope that makes sense, Suresh. With that, let's go to the second question for this week. So Pawan, what's the second question?
Kamalini is asking, what do you do when your highest revenue generator is not a great team player, in spite of coaching and counseling him for many months? How to make sure that we are able to develop and create the right environment for A players in an organization?
Well, Kamalini, firstly, I want to do a little correction there for you because you contradicted yourself in that question. A part of your question said, how do you handle your highest revenue generator who's not a great team member? And the second part said, what do you do with your A players? So firstly, that tells me that in your head, the person who's the highest revenue generator is an A player. According to me, that person's not the A player. For me, that person's a B results player, which means what? That person is great at results, but does not have the capabilities to align with the value system and the commitment aspect required. So for me, an A player is a person who's high on results and high on values. For me, this person's a B player who's high on results but low on values. So Kamalini, firstly, that's a little technical correction. So we are on the same page based on the solutions that I'm going to give you now. Now, when you have a person on your team who's great on results, but the value system does not align, the commitment level is not that high, the person does not get along with other people and is not a great team player. With such a person, here are the steps for you to follow as a business owner. Step number 1, acknowledge and appreciate this person genuinely. Now, when I say acknowledge and appreciate this person genuinely, I just don't mean a verbal acknowledgement out loud to this person. I feel inside your own heart, you need to ask yourself, do you value the results that this person produces? Do you genuinely appreciate this person for the results this person produces? So firstly, in your own heart, negate all that negativity that you carry about this person because of all the challenges and commitment and values that you face with this person, and see this person for their own excellence, for their own greatness in producing the results. See it on the inside and then communicate it on the outside. So first step is to acknowledge them genuinely. The second step is for you to sit down with this person and have a discussion on co-creating their next level goal. Ask them, tell them, hey, listen, you're doing great in the results. You are an ace performer when it comes to producing results. So there's no two ways about it. This peak in your career has been conquered. What's the next peak? Let us discuss what is your next peak. And you understand their next level aspirations, and you also give them some direction of what could be their next peak. Probably from an individual contributor, can they move to a team leader and a team manager role? If that's a next peak for them, show them that next peak. Or if that's the next peak that they have for themselves, then define and agree that, okay, that is the next level for this person. So once you've acknowledged them, and then the next step of you've kind of co-created a next level goal or a challenge for them, then the third step for you is to give them feedback and even ask them to give themselves feedback in terms of what needs to change, what needs to shift for them to fit into that next level role, what needs to change in their approach to do justice to that next level role. And inevitably you will see with such a person who's mastered the results side of their craft but is having challenges with the team management or being a team player and aligning with the values of the organization, inevitably you will see that when the next level is for them to grow as a leader, those aspects which is a challenge today, which is a limitation today, become the stepping stones for moving in that direction tomorrow. And this is where you need to express feedback to them saying that, hey, listen, I would love to empower you with this responsibility. My only challenge is your values, your alignment, your ego, all of this is coming in the way of you taking up the next level responsibility, and tell them that you would like to challenge them to make these changes, because such people who are performers and produce results, they love challenges. So make the changes that is required as a challenge for them and tell them that I want to see that change for the next 3 to 6 months, and then is when you would have earned your place as a leader or a manager or as a team lead in the department. So these are the 3 steps, Kamalini. Step number 1, genuinely acknowledge them for their strengths and their contribution. Step number 2, co-create a next level role with them. Step number 3, turn the gaps into a challenge and tell them that you would love to see this change. And step number 4 is this: offer your one-to-one mentoring and support to them to conquer this challenge, which would mean that have a system of once in 30 days where you're sitting with them one-to-one, you're evaluating how they are showing changes, and that evaluation is coming from a very positive and support perspective, not from a I want to see whether you are showing the change or not perspective. I hope you understand that, Kamalini. I think when you do these 4 steps, you should be able to earn the person's heart and respect, and then channelize their heart in the game and that respect that you've gained with them to develop them in the right direction. That would be my approach, Kamalini. And even after all of this, if you feel that there's genuinely some kind of a personality disorder and this person is not willing to work on it, then you really need to boil it down to making a decision as to what do you value and what kind of team do you want to build, and whether this person fits in that or not. And if they don't, then you got to make the difficult decision of letting them go. I hope that makes sense, Kamalini. With that, let's go to the third question of this week's episode of Get Real with Rajiv. So, Pawan, what's the third question?
Phil is asking us, how will tapping into spirituality bring a big change into your present reality, connecting business into wealth generation for generations?
So, I don't know about how people perceive this, Phil, but I know for a fact that a lot of successful entrepreneurs look at business as their path to spirituality. I don't agree to the philosophy that business is different and spirituality is different. I think they are interconnected and they are the same. The question is, are you doing business with a certain level of consciousness? Because at the end of the day, what is spirituality? Spirituality is conscious living. So when you're doing your business with consciousness, then you are building a business which is your spiritual expression. And this is where I feel that it's also important as an entrepreneur to kind of break some notions people have about spirituality and align with the truth of spirituality. Like, one of the things that I truly believe is that spirituality is abundance. It's not poverty consciousness. Many people look at spirituality, many people think being poor, being in struggles, that is spirituality. Any person who's spiritually awakened will tell you spirituality is abundance. Spirituality is not poverty consciousness. Another reality is spirituality is creation. It's not complacency. I always say this to people that spirituality is not spending hours in your temple, mosque or church, but because if you're spending hours there, probably your God is trying to scream back at you and say, go out there and create. Don't sit and waste your time just doing this. Of course, prayer is important. There's a science behind every ritual, but I feel that some people in the name of spirituality become complacent and they don't go out there and create enough. I think the Creator wants all of us to create. That's our spiritual path. The third distinction that I like to draw out about spirituality is evolution, it's not stagnation. So if you're not learning, if you're not growing, if you're not evolving as a person, if your habits, your behaviors, your work ethic, your capabilities are not evolving, then you're not on a spiritual path. If you are the way you are and you are remaining the way you are and you're stagnating as a person, there's nothing to be proud of. Because a lot of people create pride in stagnation. They say, I'm content in my life and I'm happy with whatever I have. No, I think true spirituality is evolution. It's about learning and growing. And what better than business and business goals and business ambitions that put you on that path of exploring new things, learning on the go. So I feel that business is a very powerful spiritual practice in itself. So spirituality is evolution. And the other thing that I believe is spirituality is service. And contribution. It's not sacrifice and isolation. People who give up on other humans and say people are like this only, we should be happy with ourselves. They are isolating themselves. They think they are sacrificing the world. I don't think that's spirituality. I think spirituality is serving and contribution. And as an entrepreneur, you have the opportunity to serve your team members and serve your customers. And I always believe this, that the more you serve your team members, the more you serve your customers, wealth is a byproduct of that service. People don't give you money if you're not adding value to them. So you need to ask yourself, how much more value can I add? How much more can I contribute to my team and my customers? Because the more value you can add, the more you can contribute to your teams and customers, the more wealth you generate as a byproduct. So spirituality is service and contribution. The last one that I really love and relate to a lot is that spirituality is love and connection. Spirituality is not righteousness and judgment. I know a lot of people who claim to be spiritual, but they're constantly judging everybody around them as good, bad, right, wrong. They draw the ethical parameters for the world according to them, and because they're living a life of judgment, they're perpetually unhappy with everybody around them. There's lack of acceptance of who people are, and they're constantly trying to correct those people. I think relationships is not about correction, it's about connection, and spirituality is expressing that love and connection, expressing that acceptance with people around us, that each one of us is unique and we have our own unique ways to unfold and uncover our journey. So I think if a person's able to ground themselves to these realities of spirituality, that spirituality is abundance, it's contribution, it's love and connection, it's creation, it's service, it's evolution, then if you look at the byproduct of living life that way and building your business that way, the byproduct of that is massive wealth creation. One needs to just have the eye to see that and be that truly spiritual person in their business journey. So I hope that makes sense, Phil, that spirituality is no different from building a successful business. With that, let's go to the fourth and final question for this week's episode of Get Real with Rajiv. So Pawan, what's the fourth question?
Million Dreams, this question is, often post trying and giving our best to projects we encounter failure, and sometimes the demotivation effect is so high that we drop the idea and don't execute it again. Please share your advice on how we can learn from our failures and not let go of our ideas.
Well, my response to that would be, firstly, we need to be clear about what do we mean by learning, because most people have a very misplaced definition of the word learning. Like you said, a lot of people take action towards their goals and they fail, and then they say, I learned from my experience, and then they change their goals. They start diminishing the size of their goals. According to me, when you start diminishing the size of your goals because of an experience of failure, then that is not learning. That is limiting yourself. And there's a big difference between learning and limiting. Most people think limiting is learning, but in reality, that is not the case. Learning would mean that without diminishing the size of your goals, you are willing to be flexible and adapt an other approach. Learning would mean upgrading your own capabilities rather than discarding the goals that you created for yourself. So my perspective is very, very simple. As long as the size of your goals is not diminishing and you are developing different methods and different capabilities and exploring different approaches to achieve that goal, you are on the path of learning. But the moment you diminish the size of that goal, you're no longer learning, you're playing safer because you've been emotionally scarred by that failure and you've made that failure personal and you've not really learned the lesson of what needs to change from it. And therefore you start playing a smaller game. That is not learning, that is limiting. So Million Dreams, the solution to that is to firstly change your relationship to failure and understand the difference between learning and limiting. Now, which is what I've made an attempt to do by explaining to you what learning is and what limiting is in this video. And once you have this understanding and realization of what is learning, what is limiting, the next step is to create an environment or be in an environment where you're surrounded by people who believe in this definition of learning and not surrender to limiting, and either get a coach or a mentor who keeps you on track and does not allow you to reduce the size of your goals, or surround yourself with networks and groups of people who kind of believe in the same thing and they hold you accountable to play the learning game and not give up in the limiting game. So your environment matters a lot, along with this conceptual understanding that I've created for you today. So with that, we come to the end of episode number 94 of Get Real with Rajiv. I hope you found value in this week's episode, and if you did, then here's your next step. Click on the link below and register yourself for my upcoming training called the Business Breakthrough Seminar. The Business Breakthrough Seminar is a 4-hour live training where I break down for you what are the 7 foundational activities to build a stable and successful business, and I break down for you the direction of how to build a business which can grow without you, because most entrepreneurs are stuck in the trap of doing everything by themselves and are still not able to experience growth. So I want to demystify for you the basics and the foundation of building a stable and successful business in a powerful yet in a very practical manner. So click on the link below and I look forward to seeing you at the Business Breakthrough Seminar. Register yourself right now.